Picture this. You're holding a $1,000 supercomputer in your hand, doom-scrolling through 3 different apps at once, while simultaneously yearning for the days when you had to slam a physical phone receiver down to make a point. And your biggest tech problem was someone picking up the landline while you were downloading a song on Napster. Welcome to the exhausting, beautiful disaster of being a Xennial. You are the bridge generation, the ultimate cultural translator. You are trapped somewhere between the rub some dirt on it analog resilience of your parents and the let's unpack this trauma on TikTok digital fluidity of everyone younger than you. And it is slowly crushing your soul. Society expects you to operate like a perfectly optimized hybrid machine. You're supposed to have the relentless, punch-the-clock work ethic of 1988, but with the 24/7 hyper-availability of a cloud server. So you end up becoming the unpaid IT help desk for the entire human race. You're fixing the Wi-Fi for your dad, explaining Slack etiquette to the new Gen Z hire, managing 3 chaotic group chats, optimizing your calendar, and trying to remember if you actually paid the electric bill or just dreamt about an app reminding you to do it. And when that inevitable wave of absolute burnout hits, when you suddenly want to hurl your phone into the nearest body of water and disappear off the grid, you feel guilty. You feel lazy. You think this exhaustion is a personal flaw, a sign that you just can't keep up with the modern world you actually helped build. Spoiler alert, you're not broken. You're just severely undercaffeinated and over-notified. Let's get one thing straight right now. Preferably before you stress buy another $60 leather-bound planner you will literally never write in. Your overwhelming urge to retreat to the Stone Age is not a malfunction. You are not losing your edge, and you are definitely not failing at modern life. You are simply operating a very specific, highly intelligent piece of biological hardware that is desperately trying to keep you sane. Look at your so-called chaotic coping mechanisms. You ruthlessly defend your phone's Do Not Disturb mode like an armed guard. You hoard physical hardcover books you haven't opened in months. You spend Tuesday afternoons daydreaming about faking your own death and moving to a cabin in the woods where the only network is the root system of the pine trees. Honestly, the remote cabin real estate market is probably propped up entirely by 30-somethings having a midday Slack-induced existential crisis. But these aren't the erratic behaviors of someone who is falling apart under pressure or failing to adapt. This is your nervous system actively deploying brilliant tactical countermeasures against an environment it was never fundamentally designed for. You aren't crazy, and your habits aren't a mess. You're just a highly adaptive creature using unconventional, analog camouflage to survive a never-ending digital avalanche. Let's talk about the actual neurology behind why your brain feels like it's constantly buffering. There are 2 big academic terms we need to unpack here: neuroplastic, exhaustion, and context collapse. See, you experienced a totally unique neurodevelopmental event. The foundational neural pathways in your brain, the ones responsible for socialization, patience, and how you process rewards, were entirely baked in a slow, low-dopamine analog oven. You literally had to wait for the TV guide channel to scroll past to know what was on. But right in your late teens and early 20s, exactly when your prefrontal cortex was finalizing its development and solidifying your personality, you were violently shoved into a high-dopamine, hyper-connected digital blender. Forcing your brain to rapidly rewire itself for constant digital stimuli requires an immense, invisible amount of cognitive energy. That is neuroplastic exhaustion. Then, add context collapse. This is the exhausting psychological phenomenon where every distinct audience in your life, your boss, your mom, your college drinking buddies, and that guy you met at a seminar in 2012, are all compressed into a single, terrifying digital space. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. It all short-circuits your brain's natural, healthy ability to compartmentalize social roles, leaving you perpetually anxious about how to exist. Think of it as the Retrofit Engine. Imagine taking a perfectly good, sturdy, 1980s wood-paneled station wagon. It has a cassette deck. It smells faintly of vinyl and simpler times. Now, instead of driving it normally, you manually hotwire a Tesla supercharger, a 5G router, and an aerospace rocket thruster directly into the dashboard. Sure, it goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds now, and you can order groceries while doing it. But the chassis is constantly vibrating. The radio is randomly picking up Russian spy signals, and the engine feels like it's going to literally explode at any given moment. That is a Xennial brain. It is a reliable analog engine violently forced to run on high-speed digital fuel. No wonder you feel like you need a daily oil change just to survive a Wednesday morning Zoom meeting. Because this neuroarchitectural crash affects all of us a little differently, your brain usually adopts one of 3 specific survival personalities to cope with the vibration. Let's see which one of these calls you out. Type 1 is the analog hoarder. You are the patron saint of unused office supplies. You compulsively buy heavy moleskin notebooks, $80 fountain pens, and thick hardcover books that currently function as expensive coasters on your nightstand. You aren't actually using these things, and that's the secret. You are hoarding the concept of an analog life. Having them nearby is a psychological safety blanket, a physical anchor reminding your brain that a slower, tangible world still exists, even if you're too exhausted to participate in it. Type 2 is the digital Houdini. You are an absolute master of the Irish goodbye, but in digital form. Your primary love language is do not disturb mode. You read messages from the lock screen so people don't get read receipts. You keep your phone permanently on silent because unexpected ringing causes a visceral spike of adrenaline, and you constantly research off-grid real estate in places like Montana that you know you will never ever buy. You basically treat the internet like a hostage situation you are slowly negotiating your way out of. And finally, Type 3, the resentful Rosetta Stone. You are the exhausted, reluctant translator. You are currently burning out from the sheer mental gymnastics of simultaneously explaining PDF conversion software to your boss, and then turning around to explain the concept of waiting for film to develop to your kids. You carry the heaviest burden because you are fluent in both eras, making you indispensable, but entirely drained by the constant code switching. So here is the stark, beautiful, scientific truth about your retrofit engine. That sudden, overwhelming urge to ghost the internet, retreat into a book you won't read, or ignore your texts for 3 straight days? It isn't depression. It isn't you failing to keep up with a fast-paced world. It is brilliant, deeply ingrained evolutionary armor. Purely digital generations do not have a physical baseline for pacing. They were born into the blur. But your brain actually knows what profound, quiet peace feels like because it lived it in 1993. You remember the texture of a weekend where nobody could reach you, the absolute silence of waiting for a friend on a porch, the boredom that actually bred creativity instead of anxiety. That analog panic room behavior you feel so guilty about is just your nervous system's highly advanced built-in spam filter. It is slamming the emergency brake to protect you from catastrophic dopamine burnout. It's essentially your brain aggressively forcing a reboot before the motherboard melts down from too many unread emails. Your exhaustion is not a weakness. It is a finely tuned survival instinct, actively keeping you tethered to reality in an increasingly chaotic, simulated world. You aren't broken, my friend. You are just the only one left in the room who still knows how to drive a manual transmission in an automatic world. So, if your strange, analog heart feels weirdly validated right now, I need you to do something for me. Head down to the comments and declare your retrofit engine type. Are you the analog hoarder, the digital Houdini, or the resentful Rosetta Stone? Let's see how many other stranded time travelers are navigating this chaotic timeline with you. Consider this space a digital rest stop, A place to park your wood-paneled station wagon for a minute and let the engine cool down. Now please, go hydrate. Take your vitamins. Close at least 12 of those open browser tabs. And maybe, just maybe, actually write a single sentence in that $30 planner tomorrow. I won't hold my breath. Stay sane out there, trash pandas.